And what I want to talk to you about today has been taught actually in a couple of different ways. But before I say this word, I want to ask another question. Who has seen or even owns a Swiss Army knife? Yeah, the great multitasking tool, right? With things like nail clippers and scissors and a small knife and a saw and a toothpick and wire cutters and sometimes a fish scaler. I had no idea that it had a fish scaler in it, but apparently some of them do. This is this little tool that can do it all. And often when we're leaders, we have this tool held before us, right? And we're taught to multitask. Just like this tool, multitask. It can do anything. It can do everything, right? And so we actually love Swiss Army knives. I love Swiss Army knives because it can do so much. But here's the thing. There's a difference between having multiple tools and multitasking. And so I want you to think about that Swiss Army knife like this for a minute. And you'll have to just imagine with me for a second, because I know the toothpick comes out, but let's pretend that the toothpick just unfolds, because most of the tools in there just kind of unfold. Are you going to use the toothpick on a Swiss Army knife at the same time that you're using a fish scaler? Just imagine what that would look like for a minute. How close does your face have to be to that fish if you are both picking your teeth and scaling a fish at the same time? Doesn't make any sense. How successful are you going to be at getting spinach out of your teeth if you're also trying to scale a fish? Or how successful are you going to scale that fish if you're also trying to use the tool for a different thing? So even with so many tools to choose from, you're only going to use one tool at a time. So let's think through this toothpick and fish scaler example, because it's a little ridiculous. But trying to do both of those things at the same time is going to result in some sort of chaos or drama. It might be that you get fish scales in your mouth. That sounds terrible and gross, and I don't like that. It might be an injury to your mouth or your face, trying to use a toothpick and a fish scaler at the same time. At the very least, what's going to happen is somewhere around this vicinity is going to smell like fish for the next day and a half. Not pleasant, right? And initially, the word that came to me was presence. Be present. And that quickly evolved to what is one thing that actually really stands in the way of us being present. And for so many of us in different points in our lives, it is multitasking. Trying to do more than one thing at a time. In fact, I found this quote on Pinterest. They accredit it to Cindy Crawford. I'm not sure if she said it or not, but we'll give credit where credit is due. There is a temptation to multitask everything, but you cannot multitask presence. You cannot multitask presence. So I think about it like this. Not usually when I go for a walk or a hike, I'm just walking or hiking. I don't even multitask that most of the time. I know a lot of people who use that time to listen to a podcast or a class, right? Every once in a while, I will set out like, for this amount of time, I will listen to this podcast. I will do this thing while I walk. And I've had this happen so many times where I'm getting ready to leave the house. I'm packing my snacks, get my hiking bag ready. I've got my earbuds ready to go. They're all charged up. I have the podcast picked out. And I'm not even kidding. Inevitably, my son Caleb will come up to me and say, "Mom, where are you going?" "I'm going for a hike." "How many miles are you hiking today, Mom?" Probably 3 or 4. "Mom, can I come with you?" Now, here's the thing. I can easily walk or hike and listen to a podcast, right? I cannot walk, listen to a podcast, and also be with my son. And so at this point, I have a decision to make. And it depends on what else is going on in my life and where I'm at emotionally and all of that, what I'll decide. But it would be completely unfair to say to Caleb, "Yeah, come along with me," and then put in my earbuds and ignore him the whole time. So Swiss Army knife, sure. Lots of things that I can be doing. How successfully am I going to do all of those things at the same time? And when I think about multitasking, I think about how much are we missing out on because we're always looking to get ahead, right? And again, and maybe you've heard this, some people teach leaders to multitask. It's important. You have to learn how to do it. Da, 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 da. I think it's a lie. I think it's a big fat lie. I think my example with hiking with my son and listening to a podcast, I can do about 2 things at a time seemingly well. I can make dinner and check in with my kids. I can make dinner and talk to Eric about the plans for the night or the weekend, right? Like I can do those things. If I'm going to add in, check my emails while I'm making dinner and checking in with my husband, and now I'm going to check emails, I can't do that. I can't listen to a podcast and be with my son at the same time. And so when we're always looking to get ahead and every moment is about moving us forward and gaining ground, there's nothing wrong with that, but it does cost us. It costs us presence, and it really costs us relationship. I found this quote too. It says, multitasking is the drive to be more than who we are, to control more than we do, to extend our power and effectiveness. Such practice yields a divided self with full attention given to nothing. I'm going to read that last part again. Such practice yields a divided self with full attention given to nothing. So what is driving you to multitask? I would ask you this way, if we were face to face in a room alone, what are you afraid of? Now, I know a man who multitasks when he's with his family. And he does this actually because he doesn't know how to connect with his kids. And so it's easier for him to have his phone on him and to be checking emails when he's sitting with his children, right? Because he doesn't know how to be fully present. So his multitasking is an escape. It eases his discomfort and it prevents him, instead of learning how to connect, he's like, well, he always has this excuse, right? And so it's actually blocking growth. And his kids feel the weight of it. His wife feels the weight of it. And it's destroying their family. Maybe for you, it's not a matter of I don't know how to connect. Maybe it's that you're afraid that you'll miss out on something. That fear of missing out comes up often, especially in coaching sessions. We're afraid that we're going to miss out. Or we might be afraid that how is all of this stuff ever going to get done if I'm not the one that does it? How am I ever going to sleep tonight if I don't do 3 things at one time? Maybe you're a person who gains significance by having so much to do. Sometimes multitasking fills that need we have for significance. It's almost like that quote. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but like, my brain is like an internet browser and there are 30 tabs open, 4 of them are frozen, and I can't figure out where the music is coming from, right? It's like, some of us are like, oh, I've got 40 tabs open, yay for me. Oh, you guys, that's a lot. That's a lot, but we might gain our significance from multitasking. So what is multitasking really costing you? You are trying to do 3, 4, 5 things at a time. What or who is it costing you? Is it costing your peace, your presence, relationships, rest, connection with yourself? Yeah. So now I know there is a place, and I alluded to it before, that we can do a couple things at the same time and to do them successfully. But I think when I'm talking multitasking, I'm talking we are trying to get ahead, and that is our number one drive. Something is falling to the wayside for sure. So we briefly just touched on what drives you to multitask, and I hope that you're thinking about that. Are you a multitasker? If so, why? What is the thing behind the thing that is driving you to do that? What's going on inside of your head or your heart that you have this need to accomplish? What are you afraid of? And what is it really costing you? And now I want you to think of an area of your life or one relationship even that would improve if you would commit to being fully present. It might be something like checking emails or working on writing that book. Once you block off a time to be fully present for that. So do you see how even I'm talking super relationally with multitasking and how it affects relationship, but it also impacts our productivity. It impacts our creativity. It impacts what we get done and our efficiency. And so what would it look like to set aside time to work on that one thing? To be fully present for your business, fully present for your creative writing, fully present for the financial side of your business. And so there are all these areas that we try to multitask, but what would it look like just to focus on one thing? How much more would you really accomplish? And maybe what multitasking is costing you is a relationship with someone that you've crowded out. Maybe you need to commit or set aside a period of time to be fully present with that person. How would it improve your relationship with them? What would they gain from you if you could show up fully present? What would you gain from them? It's much like when my son wants to go hiking with me. I have a choice. If I really need to listen to this podcast today, and this is the only time, I have told him that before. Hey, I have to listen to this. You're welcome to come alongside me, but this will take 40 minutes of our time together. I've set that example. And then he knows after 40 minutes, I'm all his. And sometimes he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to share you right now. And that's okay. But I'm honest, I give him the option. And other times I'm like, this podcast can wait. My 13-year-old wants to go hiking with me. I'm all in for that. But it's about being all in and being fully present there. Now, why is this important? You guys have heard me say before, and I will continue to say over and over again, that I believe one of the number one tactics of the enemy to disconnect us relationally is to overwhelm us. And when I look at my life, when I am tempted to multitask, it is when I feel overwhelmed. When it feels like there are too many irons in the fire and I don't have enough time to do anything with it. And so I'm trying to keep everything under control. And that overwhelm turns off my relational circuits because now I see problems in not people. And multitasking becomes queen or king, and relationships fall by the wayside. So I want to say that again. I believe that one of the number one tactics the enemy uses to disconnect us is overwhelm. When we are overwhelmed and we're not connected, we have actually shallow connections at best, if any connection at all, but our connections become incredibly shallow. And that leaves us feeling isolated and alone. And we all know, because we've experienced it and we're experiencing it here, we don't grow in isolation. We won't mature out there as a lone ranger on our own. We have to be deeply connected. Brain science is supporting it more and more. Our joy center, our identity center grows in healthy, connected relationships. And so I want to encourage you as leaders in this group, be a Swiss Army knife. Have multiple tools handy to use. But be wise in how and when you use them. Just imagine trying to pick your teeth and scale a fish at the same time. What a mess that would cause. And so learn your tools, learn your gifts and talents, put the time and the effort and the energy into really making those, like pumping them up. I can't think of the word I'm wanting to say, but getting those strong, right? Like strengthen yourself in those things. But recognize that you don't have to use everything all at once. And I'm just going to encourage you today just to discuss together what we've talked about. Multitasking. Are you a multitasker? Have you been a multitasker? What does it look like? What does it cost you? How tempting is it for you to multitask? How has that affected you and those around you? And I think looking at what are some warning signs that you're starting to multitask or you're getting into this disconnect and not being present. Because we all have seasons, there's ebb and flow, right? And so you might have a season where you're like, I'm fully present in every moment. And then things ramp up and that overwhelm kicks in. So how are you going to be aware that that is happening?